Okay, so for this part of the video, we wanted to show you the menu system of both devices. As you can just quickly mention, as you can see, the light on the camera, this little reflection is from the light on the camera itself. And if you can see this kind of light from a camera, you can imagine what it's like when you're trying to read this display in sunlight outside. So, not the easiest thing to do. One last thing about the form factor, this is plastic, while this does, I'm pretty sure it's plastic as well, but it's more rubberized and has a more rugged feel to it than the Tascam. And I actually know a friend who had this part here snap, and he couldn't figure out how it happened. He put it in his bag. I think I saw a YouTube video a while back where another guy done the exact same thing. Now, it seemed pretty rugged to me, but the form factor of this has been questioned. So let's start off with the Tascam menu. Okay, so you have all your levels there when you connect the microphone. Obviously they move up and down. So let's press the menu button. Try and make this readable. Okay, so in your main menu you have, let's go to the top, all your recordings will be kept in a folder and then in individual files. So if we just go ahead and play back.
This is the Rode NTG2 being used with a Zoom H6.
That's a recording I done earlier, just to give you an idea of what the microphone on this sounds like. Not the greatest thing in the world, but better than nothing. Okay, so here you have the menu system. You press menu to go back. These are the folders. Everything is kept in a nice little folder. Let's just go back. Okay, next you have your input and output settings. You have your low cut control, and you can set those for each individual track. Your limiter, again, set for each individual track. Your MS RAW monitor, change it from stereo to RAW. Phantom power, which you can turn on and off for each input. And this has the option of 48 volts, 24 volts and 12 volts. The Tascam only has an option of 24 and 48 volts. Not sure how many people that's actually going to really affect, but it's worth mentioning. Next you have your plug-in power option, your monitor mixer, which you can alter, your VU meter, which you can use if you wanted to. And let's go back to the settings. Okay, recording, your record formats, you have wave all the way up to 96 kilohertz at 24-bit. You also have MP3, which the Tascam does not, and that goes all the way up to 320 kilobytes per second. Pretty useful if you want to record a podcast or just something for YouTube. You have your auto record options, which you can set on or off, and auto stop, and you can also set a start and stop level. You have your pre-record, just in case you missed the beginning of something important. Your backup recording, which again only works with the attachment, does not work with the 4 XLR inputs that are on this thing, and you can name your projects. You have AB repeat and play mode for when you're playing things back. Your project menu, which you can decide on information, make voice memos, project mixer, playback, your backup files, overdub, mix down, rebuild, and trash files. You have your tuner and metronome for those musicians out there. Now the backlight on this is already set to high, and still we have a lot of problems reading it outdoors. Power saving option, software version, and factory reset. And your language setting. Your SD card just lets you format it and rename it. SD card reader, and audio interface. Now that's very important because you can't do that with the Tascam. You can connect this to your laptop and record directly through this to the laptop, or use this as an audio interface. So that's the menu system of the Zoom H6. So let's go ahead and turn that off. Now let's go to the Tascam DR60D. Okay, this is literally the first thing that comes up on the screen when you turn it on. You do have a quick button here, which is very useful. You can go straight to deleting a file, your gains for channels, and your level align. Just gives you a few quick options to do very easily. You have your mixer button, and you have your monitor select, which lets you mix main, mix sub, and go to camera in. You press menu, you have your record modes, which is dual mono, dual stereo, 4-channel, and just normal mono, and stereo as well. And you can also see the dual level there. Your input settings, you can set your gain, limiter, very useful, low cut, delay, and you can set those again individually for each microphone. Record settings, you have your formats, WAV 24-bit, 16-bit, and you also have BWF 24/16, no MP3 as we said, and your sample rate again 96, 41.4, 48. The file sizes, unfortunately the memory card on this you can't put in bigger than a 32 gig, and the file sizes are split at 2 gig, which is 2 hours and 4 minutes at the highest setting. Self timers off, monitors on, pre-record, record delay, auto tone, tone sex, tone volume, and you can enable and disable that slate key. You have your auto record level settings. You can have an auto start level, end delay. Your play settings just lets you folder if you want the file to keep continuing, and when you turn the dial how long it jumps back. Browse is for browsing through the files that you've recorded, and finally you have others, which gives you information such as the firmware you're on and the file names that you have, date, time, remote, and so forth. That's basically it. From my experience so far, having used both of these, I can say, and I've let a few people on set mess about with these, and I can say straight off the bat, everyone's preferred the user interface to this. It's also a lot easier to read, especially when the camera is mounted directly above it. The display is a lot easier to read. This display may be color and more fancy, but you know, you either need another tripod or you need to be holding this somewhere separately and keep glancing over at it. For filmmakers, this definitely, the form factor was built with filmmakers in mind. So one final quick thing that I should mention on this as well is if you switch over to phantom power, it asks you if you're sure, just in case. Doesn't want you to damage your mic. With this, if you press record, it'll start recording. With the Tascam, when you press record once, it'll ask you if you're sure, and then it won't ask you if you're sure, it will start flashing, and when you press it again, it confirms that you're recording, and it goes ahead and starts recording. Levels are on here, whereas with the zoom, the levels are all in color. However, I did notice there was, when we connected both of these up at the exact same time, Tascam seemed to pick up the levels just a split second quicker than the zoom. I'm not sure if it's because of the color display, but yeah, these are the form factors between the two. So now what we're going to do is I am going to set up this Rode microphone, and we are going to record my voice. I will be standing exactly 2 feet away from the microphone. I will turn my head to the right to 90 degrees while I speak, and to the left to 90 degrees while I speak. I will turn the levels up and down so you can see the difference, because with this you'll see there is a huge jump when you go from level 6 to 7. The jump is pretty enormous between those levels, and I'll also put them both at the highest level and go quiet just so you can hear what the background noise is like. And I'm sure you'll see the Zoom, unfortunately, has a lot more noise than the Tascam. I mean, it's not bad, it's miles better than the Zoom H4, but the preamps, definitely miles better than the Zoom H4. But when it comes to down and down audio quality, I'll let you decide for yourself, and you can see which one you prefer. As far as the settings where this will be taking place, it's in my apartment. I don't have a professional setup. I have a room. There's quite a lot of furniture in here, and TV on the wall and table on the side. So sound, just give you an idea of what kind of sound environment I'm going to be in when I do this test. I've turned off and unplugged all electronics to try and avoid any interference in the test in terms of noise. And the kitchen is downstairs and the door to the kitchen is shut, so it shouldn't pick up any fridge or any noises like that in the background. So join us for the next part, as we will be putting these two to the test.